Thank you very much, Madam President, and a warm welcome to the Irish Presidency.
Merci, Monsieur le Commissaire.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'd like here to underline the fact that we are now looking at this text, and I hope we'll adopt it tomorrow. It's an own initiative report, and in this report we've tried to find a balance, really, and bring together stakeholders that seem to have extreme views. On the one hand, on the one end of the spectrum, you've got people who think we're going to create stability bonds, and as such we could perhaps save ourselves certain efforts, but that's not the view of the rapporteur or of the team of shadow rapporteurs working on this subject. But also this would allow them to engage in certain refusals in terms of principle without really looking at things face on. The first issue is that there are certain difficulties in member states that could be linked to difficulties on the markets, and the more instruments that we have to stabilize the markets, to provide liquidity, which is being asked for by our own insurers, then that's only going to be a good thing for the whole. And that was already said at the European Council in June. But then you've got other aspects which are linked to the idea of the existence of a single currency. We have our own currency, and that's why globally now we have a market for papers linked to the euro. And then also in the report we have other elements which I would say seek to shore up the measures that we adopted in Parliament with Council and Commission at the beginning of the crisis. So here I'm thinking particularly of the creation of a fund that would help the Member States to honour the rigorous commitments for debt reduction which have been set. So I think there are good reasons here. There might be misgivings, but there are good reasons for us to continue to think about these things, and that's really what we're asking people to do. I'm happy to see Commissioner Rehn here with the six-pack. He committed to a green paper which then saw the light of day, and what we want to do is continue looking at these different options, hypotheses, without rushing into anything in particular too quickly. We've got different member states in different situations, but they might have different views, but it's possible that we could engage in some of these instruments one after the other, and I think it's very important to look very carefully at the obstacles that we face. And I would say to those who doubt this that there is, on the one hand, the need to ratify the treaties here. That's true. We shouldn't necessarily automatically have our own bonds, but at the same time you've also got to think about possible changes to the legal instruments that we need. And then I'd make a final point here. The discussions that we've had have come a long way, because at the time, in the past, we, and you can see this in some of the Bruegel papers, the idea was to get our hands on the debt issued by member states. But actually, to do this, you need major levels of conditionality, which is perhaps not excluded, but would be seen to be too intrusive. And if you compare this to what has been done elsewhere, and this isn't necessarily an exemplar to follow, but if you look at the United States, there each of the states are able to issue their own debt. And what has really strengthened the dollar is the T-bill, which has been now issued by all states across the United States, and that is an example, I think. And I'm very happy for this idea to be raised here, because I would say that the paper we have now, this report, basically broadly covers Mr. Van Rompuy's concern set out in his paper last year. And the point is, we've got our own currency now, so that means we have to think about our own budget. We perhaps need own resources, but in the future we need to have a structured framework in order for us to think about the possibility of issuing our own debt. So that's really what I would ask you to think about now. This is just one part of the journey, this paper. Thank you.